roads underwater. I'll show you what it takes to supercharge our monsoon.
Dust storm mobile alerts can soon be getting a makeover. What you need to know.
The storms don't have to rock your boat this summer. I'll have simple steps to keep your family safe.
You're driving and you get stuck in a flash flood. We'll tell you what to remember to help you stay alive.
A hiking adventure can turn into unexpected tragedy during the monsoon. I'll explain what to look out for.
From the lightning capital of the state right here in Tucson to here in Pinal County where dust storms are born. This Power 02 production will get you ready for Monsoon 2017.
The monsoon is coming. Dust storms will turn day into night. Microbursts scour the landscape, knocking down everything in their path. Torrents of rain lash the valley. Flash flooding sweeps motorists downstream as first responders jump into action. Lightning explodes from the clouds in a manner that's stunningly beautiful and impetuously violent. The time is now to prepare for Monsoon 2017.
Mother Nature proves she should be taken seriously in Arizona, especially during the monsoon. While the season brings all sorts of weather dangers, here's a look at the top 3 threats. The first, heavy rain. We get a big chunk of our yearly rainfall during the monsoon season. Most thunderstorms in the valley bring a 1/4 inch of rain or less, but occasionally we get monsoon downpours that put freeways underwater or turn dry washes into rivers. Every season we see flooded homes and sometimes drownings because of flash flooding. The second threat is wind. Dust storms have become a notorious trademark of the Arizona monsoon. When thunderstorms collapse over the open desert, strong outflow winds can pick up the desert sand and blow dust all the way across the state. Visibility drops to 0, sometimes leaving drivers in fatal pileups and making it tough for valley residents to breathe for up to a day after the storm. Straight-line winds and microbursts can also leave behind tornado-like damage with 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Number 3, lightning. You might want to celebrate the break from the heat a monsoon thunderstorm can bring, but before you head out in the rain, stay aware for lightning. Hikers, golfers, horseback riders, anyone doing anything outdoors during a thunderstorm is at risk. 38 people were killed by lightning in the U.S. last year, and in Arizona, most of our lightning happens during monsoon season.
Last summer, 3 Valley teens set off on a bucket list hike, but in a flash, their adventure took an unexpected turn.
Monsoon storms come out of nowhere.
July 20th, 2016, a day that forever changed Tempe mom Robin Young and her family.
Wade had just graduated from high school. He was on top of the world.
Robin's son, 17-year-old Wade Young, along with friends David Lyons and Jackson Baxter of Corona del Sol High School, were hiking Humphreys Peak. Just outside of Flagstaff, it's the tallest mountain in Arizona, at an elevation of more than 12,000 feet. Skies began clear that morning, but by afternoon, clouds rolled in.
It started lightly sprinkling, and then it started raining.
Wade snapped this photo on his cell phone minutes before the weather deteriorated.
They were pretty close to the top, and they had some light hail.
Then lightning struck, and tragedy hit. Robin received the heart-wrenching news that evening.
Heard the door and went and looked out the people, and I just started screaming and collapsed, and I just knew.
Wade died instantly and became the 17th victim killed by lightning in Arizona since 2006. That's according to data from the National Lightning Detection Network. In the wake of a life lost, a warning to hikers on the heightened risk they face during the monsoon.
Do a fair amount of research on the weather conditions before you go out.
Lightning can be far away, and it can come upon you in a matter of seconds.
A good rule of thumb is if you can hear thunder or see lightning, you're close enough to get struck.
Arizona is the center of the lightning universe during the monsoon, and a company called Vasela in Tucson is one of the leaders in lightning detection. Each year, on average, Arizona gets about 650,000 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes.
What's unique about Arizona lightning is that it's very concentrated in July and August.
I think about 70 to 75% is in just those 2 months.
That's Ron Holly, a lightning expert at Vasela, who says if you think that's a lot of lightning, new technology is now tracking the lightning within the clouds.
We think there are about 3 times as many cloud flashes as there are cloud-to-ground flashes.
That means that across Arizona, there may be 2 million lightning flashes each year. That's a lot of lightning. And Holly, like all experts, says it's best not to linger outside when a thunderstorm approaches.
Go inside a substantial building or go inside a fully enclosed metal-top vehicle. Those are the only 2 really safe places.
From the ground, the Monsoon is impressive, but from the air, you could find yourself face to face with a monster, or in this case, one massive microburst.
We're trying to outrun this dust storm, and that's really what I was focused on. I look out the window of the helicopter and see what a lot of other people saw, which looked like an atomic bomb had gone off over Phoenix.
It was last summer when our chopper crew high above caught what you call a textbook microburst. That's a strong downdraft that can cause a lot of damage. In fact, this microburst was so massive, calls started pouring in from around the world for permission to use this incredible image.
At last check, it's been tens of thousands of websites. I've lost count of the number of times people have asked permission to use it. It's all over the world in every language. It hit, I think, when it hit the Washington Post and National Geographic, some of the big names, the Smithsonian's Air and Space, it just went crazy from there.
Microbursts, walls of dust, and everything unpredictable the Monsoon can offer, our chopper crew is often the first and best way to capture it all.
Getting to show off Arizona. It's an awesome state. A lot of people think, oh, it's the Valley of the Sun, it's Phoenix, it's boring, flat, whatever, but we have some of the coolest weather and some of the most beautiful things around, and honestly, it's nice, it's gratifying to be able to show that off.
Monsoon storms can roll in quickly and can make a fun day out on the boat with your family a bit dangerous. So here's a few tips to keep you and your family safe.
Panic on the water, boats piled on top of each other. This was the scene at Lake Pleasant in July of 2016 when a major monsoon storm hit. Winds were so strong they created 5-foot-tall waves.
The waves would just pick up the boats and crash them on the shoreline and into other boats.
2 boats sank in the harbor, but luckily no one was hurt. The severity of monsoon storms varies greatly from minor dust storms to violent thunderstorms, unleashing hail, lightning, and heavy downpours.
And most of these storms are short-lived. People should really just wait them out.
If you do get caught on the water during a storm,
if the storm really comes up and whips up the waves quickly, I need to stay near the shoreline and I need to keep my bow upwind and I need to stay towards the leeward side of the lake.
2 main dangers during a storm: lightning strikes and your boat capsizing.
If lightning starts hitting in the area, you want to get off the water as quickly as possible. Always wear your life jacket. That is the thing that's going to save you if in the event that your boat capsizes.
Be aware of your surroundings. With the open scenery, you can typically see the storms building. If you notice dark clouds building, hear thunder, and the winds begin to pick up, pull your boat out of the water and consider postponing your outing. Also, download our weather app so you can stay on top of any watches and warnings. Arizona Game and Fish Department recommends everyone take a boat safety course before hitting the water. They offer free classes year-round.
During the monsoon, a wash like this can become a raging rapid. We've seen cars swept away, and unfortunately, people die. So what can you do if your car gets stuck in the water? The raw power of water during a flash flood can be deadly during the Arizona monsoon. It can cover roads, wash away soil, and in some cases, flip cars and claim a dozen lives. 12 women and children died in a flash flood after their vehicles were swept away a couple of years ago in Colorado City.
Every situation is different, so there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to what to do if you are stuck in your vehicle.
Michelle Donati with AAA of Arizona says the best practice is to turn around when you see a flooded road.
Sometimes water comes to you as opposed to the other way around. So if you must, it's important to know what to do if you were to find yourself in that situation.
She says a lot of cars just get stuck, and the best approach is to call 911 and ask dispatchers what to do. But with half of all flash flooding deaths happening in the car, it may not be the safest place when things get bad. If moving water is rising fast and your car starts to move, it may be time to get out. The first thing you want to do is unbuckle your seatbelt. Get out through the door if you can, but that may be pretty tough to do with rising and rushing water pushing against it. That leaves the windows. Get them down as fast as possible. You may even need to break them. That's because escaping through your windows may be your quickest route to safety. Once you get away from your car, you want to swim with the current and try to get to the banks as fast as you can. If you have to leave your car, watch out for debris in the water. It may be hard to do in an emergency, but Donati says try to remain calm.
You want to use extreme caution, and you want to make sure that you're thinking things through.
Water from a downpour can turn a dry wash into a raging river almost instantly. You're looking at drone footage of an SUV that attempted to drive through this wash in the West Valley and needed to be rescued. Talk about an expensive tow bill.
The Indian Bend Wash in Scottsdale is a flooding hotspot. It's a flood channel that runs all the way to the Salt River. Other flooding hotspots in the valley are the Skunk Creek Wash area. That's around Pinnacle Peak Road and 35th Avenue. Near Cave Creek, at the intersection of Tatum and Dynamite, that's another area we watch out for. Those of you in the Fountain Hills area know what happens when water runs off the McDowell Mountains. It could flood local roadways. Also, in Wickenburg, the Hassayampa River poses a threat whenever we get too much rainfall banking up against the mountains.
Coming up, we speak to the sole survivor of a hiking group killed by this phenomenon.
20 years. Still gets to me.
Plus, there are changes ahead when it comes to your Monsoon mobile alerts. The newest high-tech solution designed to keep you safe.
The reason behind all that rain, uncovering why specific neighborhoods are consistently so. We're just getting started on this Power of Two production, Monsoon 2017.
In the southeast corner of Sky Harbor Airport, just 300 feet from runway 25 left, the weather history of Phoenix is constantly being recorded. The Automated Service Observing System, ASOS for short, is centered around the thermometer, accurate to 1/10 of a degree. When your cell phone says it's 115 in Phoenix, it's 115 here. You can forget about your dad's anemometer. Gone are the familiar wind cups, replaced by these high-tech ultrasonic wind sensors that are mounted 10 meters above the ground. And this is the official bucket for Phoenix, the rain gauge that actually doesn't look like much of a bucket anymore. The slats around the edge deflect wind, helping to make the rain measurements as accurate as possible. By the way, this is the 4th different location for the weather station at Sky Harbor. It moved from downtown Phoenix in 1933.
Flash flooding is a major threat during the monsoon. In the blink of an eye, washes like this one, Skunk Creek, or really any low-lying area, can turn into a raging river. About 20 years ago, one man learned the hard way just how deadly they can be.
It'll come quick, and it'll kill you. It'll kill you.
The majestic sandstone walls of Antelope Canyon, 5 miles southeast of Page, one of the most beautiful natural formations and one of the most dangerous when surges of rainwater fill the 200-foot deep corkscrew passage.
When I walk down this wash, I think about it.
On August 12, 1997, Pancho Quintana, a new tour guide at the time, led a group of 11 tourists through Lower Antelope Canyon.
In the morning, it sprinkled when we first got there, and they said to come out of the canyon.
According to a report by the National Weather Service, the group was warned not to enter because of a flood potential from an approaching thunderstorm.
I asked the lady there if we can go back in, and she looked up at the sky and she said, yeah.
Disaster unfolded.
The walls start shaking, and the dirt started jumping, like bouncing off the ground, like everywhere.
5 miles upstream, a downpour caused a 30-foot wall of water to crash down on the canyon.
You have no idea the force is behind something like that.
Several of the hikers swept away.
The first couple was like rag dolls flopping down through the canyon.
Several more were pulled by the torrent.
And we were dying. There's no way out. We were going down through that canyon if that water didn't stop.
After being carried a few miles downstream, the 11 tourists drowned, but Quintana survived.
20 years. Still gets to me.
Data released by the National Weather Service shows on average at least 3 people per year in Arizona die from flash flooding.
There's nothing to play with. It's not a game.
With tragedy comes awareness and a message.
Heed the warning. It'll come quick.
This sound is familiar during the monsoon. For dust storm warnings, our mobile phone is about to get an upgrade. In the past, it would alert the whole county. They now will produce custom alerts to people in danger of being caught in the storm.
So what's going to happen now is if you've got your cell phone, and instead of blanketing the entire Maricopa County, entire Pinal County, Pima County, whatever, you're gonna only get that alert if you happen to be driving in or very, very close to one of those polygons.
They'll be testing out this new alert system this summer and expect the new changes in the next few months.
The only thing predictable about the monsoon is its unpredictability. No storm is the same, and no season is either. Still, some people think Mother Nature is avoiding them.
There's a little bit of truth to that, but on a year-to-year basis, you can't hang your hat on that.
Daniel Hens works for Maricopa County Flood Control, and here's what he means. The West Valley typically doesn't get as much rain. Looking back at decades of data, communities like Surprise, Peoria, and Goodyear usually don't see as many storms as the North, South, and East Valley. But last year, that wasn't the case, as many West Valley gauges picked up some of the most rain in town.
Monsoon thunderstorms, they're small, they're localized on the order of 10 square miles to maybe 50 square miles. And where that intense rainfall is falling is, it's a really small area, and then the urban corridor is 2,000 square miles. So if you're one of the lucky ones that happens to be on one of these storms, you see the higher rainfall amounts.
There are about 400 of these rain gauges spread out across Maricopa County. And Hens says that while every year is different, he does see some summer trends.
First and foremost, probably are the areas that are near some of the higher terrain.
Outflows from storms on the rim or in northern or southern Arizona tend to collide over the North and East Valley, generating new storms more often in communities like Gilbert, Mesa, Scottsdale, and Cave Creek. Blowing dust impacts the South and East Valley more often, and flooding, well, that can happen anywhere since we live in a desert.
The one difference here probably that a lot of people don't expect is that when the rain falls here, it doesn't take a whole lot of rain for that rain to translate into runoff and then to flooding.
Ken says one trend they're watching is the valley seeing more overnight storms. Just another reason to never let your guard down during the monsoon.
The storms are very localized, they're very intense, and you always got to be kind of aware. They have really hot days. We have very explosive thunderstorms. It doesn't happen on a daily basis, but somewhere in the county it's pretty much happening on a daily basis.
If you want to know just how much rain fell in your neighborhood during a storm, we've got real-time rainfall totals on azfamily.com and in our app.
Individual monsoon storms have always been hard to predict, but coming up next, we're going to introduce you to a U of A meteorologist who's trying to change all that.
Ways to keep your pets safe during a monsoon storm. Coming up next, it's what we call the monsoon wild card.
One of the problems with most of the weather models we use is that they're not really geared to the Southwest. But researchers at the University of Arizona are changing that.
The nature of monsoon storms is that they can defy prediction. At the University of Arizona, meteorologists have been developing a model specifically geared for the monsoon since 2003, and it's working.
I am pretty confident because we've been able to forecast some pretty big events, like you said, out more than 24 hours in advance, and provided these warnings to professional meteorologists in the field.
In fact, the model has gotten so good, it's predicted dust storms and outflow boundaries more than 24 hours out. Information vital to the Phoenix forecast.
Certainly for the lower deserts, it's critical that you need to have the outflow boundaries that come together and collide, and as they collide, they force the air up, rising air, and you get additional thunderstorms.
Being right is good, but surprisingly, Leuthold says one of the rewarding parts of the job is learning from bad forecasts.
We see how it fails all the time, unfortunately. So what we do is take those failures and learn from them and look at the physics to see why the model did not work correctly and try to make some improvements.
And even with the high bar they set for themselves, Leuthold says he'd never try to make a monsoon prediction 7 days out.
In the monsoon season, it's hard enough to forecast 24 hours in advance. So it's pretty dangerous trying to predict what's going to happen 7 days in advance in the monsoon season. I used to only forecast for the current day, but the technology and the model has improved enough that now I'm confident looking at the next days.
Monsoon storms are scary enough for us, but they can be terrifying for your pets. And there's a few things you can do to make sure they make it through the storm.
Sheets of rain, howling winds, and sparks of lightning.
We stop and think for a minute how sensitive they are to different sounds and how that's amplified for them. They actually go into panic modes.
If your pets are inside, they'll look for a way out.
Digging at doors, trying to get through windows.
If outside,
there's a danger of them jumping fences and trying to escape and getting lost in the desert or out on the streets.
During that panic state, your pets need a place to hide.
Having that nice confined area makes them feel a little safer.
There are a few things you can do to help get your pet through the storm. Vets recommend first try calming your pet by having them wear a thunder shirt. If that doesn't work,
there are different types of recordings that you can play and desensitize them to storm sounds.
There are also a number of anti-anxiety medications your vet can prescribe.
When dying hurricanes or tropical storms push their moisture up the Gulf of California and into Arizona, we get a juiced up atmosphere and the threat of heavy rain is higher. This typically happens in August or September. Remember that 2014 storm that put freeways underwater, closed schools for the day, and flooded entire neighborhoods? It set a record for our wettest day ever in the valley. And it was the remnants of Hurricane Norbert that helped supercharge our monsoon storms that day.
So as we approach the monsoon, the relatively easy part of the forecast, temperatures. We're seeing strong signals that will be above normal once again this summer. As far as rain is concerned, the picture not so clear. Northern and eastern Arizona have a slightly elevated chance for above average precipitation. But around the valley, we're forecasting about average rainfall for monsoon 2017.
So when thunderstorms develop and severe weather threatens,
you can rely on the meteorologists from 3TV and CBS 5
to bring you the best storm coverage
on air, online, anytime on our AZ Family News app.
We're the power of two,
keeping you safe in monsoon 2017.